This conference will now be recorded.
All right. To introduce myself, Ravinder. I'm working as a SQL DBA last 14 years now. I'm working on the Azure cloud last 7 years. I do work on Postgres and Mongo also last close to 7 years. So this is a little introduction about myself, and to the today's agenda is all about why we need to learn Azure cloud, not just Azure cloud technologies. In fact, what are the benefits the cloud technologies are giving to the market, so that people are really interested to move to the cloud. All the reasons we are going to discuss cloud deployment models, different deployment models, what we have in the market, and what are the SaaS model, what is a PaaS model, what is IaaS model, what are the difference between them, what service can be called what. I'll give a fair idea today at least. Okay. And we have different cloud providers. You have AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, the major leaders right now. So why we need to learn Azure only as a SQL DBA? Why we need to learn? Why not AWS? Why not Google? So that also will be justified. After that, we're going to go through what are the certifications you can take up to after this class and all that. And I'm going to cover at the end what is the syllabus we're going to cover in our course at the end of the course, in fact, today. I mean, at the end of the class, I'm going to touch base that what are the topics we're going to majorly focus in the entire class. We're going to see that. So to start with, so first thing is, on-prem data centers. Why people are not showing much of interest to build their own data centers, rather they're moving to the cloud. So why? What are the challenges people do have that we're going to discuss? And the managed instances, managed services, in fact, not instance. So before cloud evolved, what was there? What used to provide the same similar kind of services in the market, and why they are actually faded away right now because of the limitation of their infrastructure. We'll talk about a little about it, and virtualization a little about it. These are the background topics which we need to just have an idea on this. That's why I kept in the course. We'll talk about it, and let's enter into the cloud side from the fourth point anyway. So let's talk about on-prem data centers. So basically, to maintain the on-prem data centers, everybody or anybody need to inquire or do the research that the area is absolutely safe against the natural calamities like floods, earthquake, or any unforeseen issues. Kind of, the area should be safe enough against the at least expected. Like you might see this floods. Floods are expected every rain season, right? So that area should not be affected by that. So that the inquiry and the research will be done by a separate team. They will find out the area where they can deploy the data centers. In fact, that must be done thoroughly before they build the data centers. In fact, so and it must be dedicated space. No one sit just beside the server and start working on it. Right? Everything is a cloud. Even what you are working on prem is also a cloud. Why? Because you are not just sitting at beside the server and working. You are connecting remotely and doing the job. It's a private cloud, you can say that, because you are connecting through over the internet or over the your wide network and then making connection and doing the job. It is something as a cloud. In fact, that clouds are called private clouds owned by single organizations. In fact, so as you don't sit at the data center and work, you sit somewhere in the operation center and connect to the data center servers to get the data out of it. And that is why you need to have a proper connectivity between the data centers and the operation center, very high bandwidth availability, so that you should not see the data latency. In fact, when you are pulling the data from data centers to the operation center where you are serving the data, in fact, right? And software licensing. So to run your business or any business for that matter, we need different softwares. You need front-end software, middleware software, back-end software. Some are available open source, some are like semi-licensed, some are absolutely highly costly licensed softwares. You must maintain to keep the data integrity and data recovery better. In fact, so all are required to run the business. In fact, so that you have to take care as a your data center, you are installing it, you have to track each and every year wise licensing and renewal, all that, right? So extremely redundant power source. So power outages can be in any, like it can be unexpected. Like you might see the strikes in that area where the data center deployed. Because of that, there is no electricity supply there. or else floods in nearby areas, the electricity, the poles are, something happened. I mean, you are not getting the power. So if that is the case, you need to have standby diesel generators to, keep up your servers all the time. And even diesel generator also exhausted, you need to have enough of UPS systems to up keep your servers up. So the problem here is, guys, market has many competitors. If you cannot serve better, there is other one who can serve better. So there you will see immediately your customer migrating from your business to his. In fact, that's why you have to be competitive enough. So you have to take care of everything available, absolutely fine. You cannot go to the end user and say that I lost the power there because of so and so reason, I cannot serve you the data right now. No one will accept. So there is someone who really is giving that, service. They are deployed somewhere. So whatsoever the reason, the customer need that time availability. That's important. So dust-free controlled environment within the data centers, you should make sure that there is nothing, it is absolutely dust-free. Why? Because the servers run 365 days, 24 by 7. When they run, the CPU fan will accumulate the dust around it, and then when you reboot, it won't reboot. You have to remove the RAM and then take out all the dust and then start it. So that is also, you have to make sure within the data center it is absolutely dust-free. Efficient cooling and air ventilation system. So the servers are, running 24 by 7, 365 days. Definitely they do generate a lot of heat. Okay, if you don't maintain the sufficient cooling, the circuits will break after certain some temperature, which is a crash, almost server crash. So to not to happen that, you have to maintain absolutely, data centers, they do maintain 16 to 18 the temperature within the data center. So that is a standard generally, but it has to be maintained. If not, your servers, generate heat, and then at sudden, beyond certain temperature, the circuits will break. If it gets break, your server crash equivalent. So that should not happen. And high physical security, you have to protect your data center against your, like, you will have definitely competitors. They wanted to make you bad in the market, so you definitely have to protect your data centers with the physical security guards with guns around, having it, right? That's usual. And inter data center connectivity. So you cannot rely on a single data center to keep all your data and operate the business, because it can go down because of any reason. Like you see the earthquake, maybe that is affected on all the servers went inside the earth, and you lose all the data and you lose entire business. Without the data, you cannot operate, in fact. So reason can be anything. I mean, and unexpected things can happen. You cannot rely on a single data center. You definitely have to have another standby data center where you have to sync the data, primary data center to secondary data center, and have it as a DR in case of worst case. Um, right. So we need to have such thing all the time, so that your data will be safe. And without the data, you no one can operate the business. In fact, data is a crucial thing for anyone. So to do all of this together is definitely an expensive to manage. In fact, not just the infrastructure, you need to hire the relevant technology people, and you have to, look at the number of people to maintain each profile. It is very expensive, in fact, for the any on-prem data centers to manage nowadays. So things are ready-made now in the cloud. So why they have to do all of this? They don't have to, in fact. So the benefits we're going to talk, that is the main agenda of this course today. So this is are the bigger challenges for anyone to manage their own data center. That's why people are showing real interest to move to the cloud nowadays. So today is all about why the cloud is becoming so popular. That is the main justification we're going to do in the class. Anyway, we're going to learn all the technical stuff, but understand what is the importance of cloud to learn nowadays. That is the main focus today, to understand. So managed services is a one kind of services that used to, do the same job what cloud used to, cloud is doing now, in fact. So the problem with them is they are actually the better than the cloud providers. In fact, you just, ask 10 servers, they'll build 10 servers, they'll install software, they install everything that you wanted, they manage the backup, they keep the server availability, everything their responsibility. You don't need to have anything, to give as a resource to manage it. They'll do it everything for you. The problem is these people existence is very limited geographically. They are region specific people. They don't have infrastructure around the globe, in fact. Okay, when they don't have an infrastructure around the globe, so people cannot subscribe them, because nowadays everyone are globalized business, MNCs, multinational companies. They need the infrastructure everywhere. They need the support everywhere. So that's why these people are actually out of market now. So they are not getting good business now. But before the cloud, yes, before 2000, I'm talking about 2006, in fact. 2006 AWS started, but 2008 onwards officially it is given the business to the market. But before that, these people were having the good demand in the market, because they are the one who gave the similar services what cloud is giving now. So that time also business are very limited to the geographic regions, but now everyone becoming multinational, and everywhere they wanted the business to be, established, so that they can gain the profits, they can grow well. That's what the people mentality nowadays. So managed services was the same services like cloud, but beyond the cloud, in fact, they do manage everything for you. In fact, you don't have to worry about anything. You need to order these many servers I wanted. They do manage everything for you and keep everything up and running all the time. So that is one thing, before the cloud, because now the nowadays cloud is there. These people don't have much, existence. In fact, our businesses also. Virtualization. Why did we keep the virtualization in this cloud discussion? Actually, it is a people mentality where, people can save the money, save the effort. There people always tend to move. Before the virtualization, how you run a server, you configure a server with a high configuration where it can sustain with the peak loads. They only look at the peak load hours, because server need to be sustainable and available during the peak loads. But what about the non-peak hours? Okay, you are running the peak load maybe 3 to 4 hours. What about the 20 hours of other timings? Like, you're not utilizing that physical server resources at all. That's where the question came. The virtualization resolved the issue. In fact, you get a big server, and build multiple servers on one physical box, and utilize the resources using the different VMs. In fact, one VM is not using other VM using for the same resource at the different times. In fact, it is shared resource model. In fact, on the physical server, you can save the space within the data center to manage the servers, and also you are utilizing the resources very effectively, in fact, right? So everything nowadays is 99%. Maybe 1% could be physical, maybe they are not updated to the market, but 99% of our market servers everywhere running as a virtualized VMs only, whatever we are working in the current world. So one person could be, there could be, physical servers, because they are not upgraded, they are running only in the clusters, they need the RDM disks direct straight away, they cannot operate on the VM disks. There are reasons, could be anything. So but very rare that you would see that physical servers nowadays in the market. So virtualization actually very rapidly adopted, because the benefits it is giving, in fact, in terms of IT resources, saving. So wherever people are getting the savings and efforts, both are absolutely, adopted by the market, in fact. So this is all about little background, guys. So next, let's enter into the cloud. What is cloud first, and why we need to adapt to the cloud? What are the major benefits we are getting when compared to on-prem? So that are the major topics we're going to discuss. Let's discuss about the cloud computing. Anyone want to ask anything? Let me know before I move ahead cloud. Fine. So what is cloud computing, in fact? Cloud computing is something, you don't keep your data with you. You operate from the third party data center. You see, cloud is also somewhere physical, in fact. Okay, they manage for you in a secure manner, that is a different story, but they are also physical somewhere. So you are keeping your data in their data centers, and they are managing it for you, and then you are operating on top of that. This is the model, in fact, cloud means, in fact. So someone is, managing your infrastructure, and they're keeping the availability of the server, and they're keeping the security around it. They're giving all the services as the infrastructure needed, in fact. So that is a cloud, in fact. You are not running on your own, you are running on someone else's data center, in fact. Okay, you will have your own data center, that is also a private cloud. Everything is a cloud. So here it is the use of remote servers on the internet to store, manage, and process the data, rather than keeping it local server or your personal laptop. So you are keeping on a servers and accessing through the internet from the third party, data center servers. In fact, you are hiring the server and using it on a lease basis. In fact, that's what is a cloud. In fact, if you talk about in a raw meaning wise, if you talk about, so there are many meanings around it, but that is a main understanding you should get it. So it is a third party data centers where you are leasing it and keeping your data and operating from there, and the service availability, server security, server network availability, everything will be taken care by them. It's not our business at all. So that's what is a cloud. In fact, cloud computing is the delivery of on-demand computing resources over the internet on pay-per-use basis. So, in fact, whatever the service you wanted, you will buy, and you will run the period of time that you wanted. Once you don't want that service or service is retired from your support model, you destroy the server straight away. You don't have to worry about. If it is on-prem, you brought a server, you are using it or you are not using it, you paid already. You invested already on that physical resource, in fact. So whether you lose the business, you don't have any business, you don't have to use that hardware, you cannot do anything. You have to give it to the scrap only. It is outdated already. So to give to the scrap also, scrap people also, they definitely charge you because they are trusted people to the crash that hardware. Okay, so trashing is also not something they'll do it for free. They have to pay for it, right? So deployment models. So public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud. Public cloud is absolutely open for anyone. Whoever have a credit card, debit card, or a debit card is not accepting nowadays. I feel, I'm not sure. Whoever have a credit card, they can subscribe and they can use a server. It is not restricted to anyone in the world. Everyone are eligible to subscribe and creating the resources. That is a public cloud. In fact, it is open for anyone who have that credit card and then do the like account creation. I'll show that. Next class is all about how do we create a free account. In fact, we're going to see that. So it is not restricted to anyone. It is open for entire world. Anyone can create and start building the resources. In fact, private clouds are not like that. It is absolutely owned by single organizations. They do manage everything what is there in the private cloud. No third party people will involve in that, and they don't share the infrastructure with anyone else other than their organization. It is fully owned and managed by the single organizations. That is called private clouds. Hybrid cloud is a combination of private and public. So in our environment, we are running 70% in the cloud, 30% in on-prem. In fact, that is a hybrid environment. We are running single business using the both the models at a time. That is called hybrid. Because of the dependencies, we could not move certain things to the cloud. Okay, 70% is running in the cloud, 30% still we are running in the operate, but they are communicating internally through the site to site VPNs, and data is seamless. In fact, so this kind of integration implementation called hybrid cloud, we are using both the environments at the same time. Okay, so that's what it is. Best of both public and private cloud combinations. Resources can be used from public cloud and also can be used in the resource private cloud. So example, just for the example, if you go to the big billion days, Flipkart or Amazon, they do receive the traffic tremendously. They don't know that how many people are going to hit the site. In fact, they release the offer, but how many people are interested, they don't know. How do they actually sustain with that load without unexpected load? So the cloud has the auto scaling functionality. Based on the load, servers will create automatically. When the load comes down, the servers will destroy automatically. So every person will be served with the request at any point of time. There is no resource exhaustion, in fact, in the background, because it is auto scaling servers. Based on the load, the servers will automatically create. When the load comes down, the servers automatically destroy. We will see that in the class in practical, how the servers will create automatically, how the servers will destroy. In fact, just knowledge sake only. It's not for DBS, it is for the application team. In fact, a database server won't scale automatically. You have to do that. You have to scale temporarily if you want. You can, like upgrade or downgrade with you in terms of computing power based on the expected load. In fact, but application servers can absolutely scale automatically. So a hybrid cloud is a combination of both public and private. It is a everybody can hear me? Saran saying that he cannot hear me for
Yeah.
some reason. Okay, I'll ask him to rejoin. Fine, sorry for that. So next, this is very important. You need to understand, guys. Everyone, focus here. This is very important because what is SaaS, what is PaaS, what is IA service. You should know it. You should have an idea what exactly they are. So I'll give a fair idea. Keep it this. Anyway, I'm going to when we start the course, we will clearly make which service comes under what. Before I discuss, I'll talk about that. But I have a fair idea now itself, so that it will be easy when we start the course. Also, what service fall under what model? In fact, here, what cloud services. SaaS service, software as a service. PaaS is a platform as a service. IaaS means infrastructure as a service. All softwares which are ready to use without anyone's intervention or anyone's approval, those comes generally as SaaS services. Approval in the sense, if I wanted to use my email account, I'll go to the Gmail website, I'll create one account, I'll start using it. No one is approving my request that I created my email address. I just going through that email availability. I'm giving my details, personal details, and starting and creating the email address, and straight away I'm using it. No one is approving in the background. I'm not waiting for anyone approval, right? So anything that you use as a ready-made software, that comes under SaaS service. The best example is all your Play Store apps comes under SaaS services. If I need a WhatsApp, what I'll do, I'll go to Play Store, I'll download, I'll install, I'll give my number, I'll get a OTP, and I can use that service there onwards. No further approval required. So all Play Store apps comes under SaaS services. Anything that is ready to use, no one need to create anything for you in the background. That kind of services comes under SaaS. Go to meeting example. I did not do anything. I purchased this licensing tool, and then they given me a link, and then I gave you the link and you joined it. I did not do anything and you did not do anything. It is ready to use softwares. All services which you use straight away without anyone's approval, or anyone is not coming to you and saying that use it this here onwards, kind of, all that kind of thing come under SaaS services. Keep this in mind. If you understand this, you can understand what services comes under SaaS here onwards. PaaS is platform as a service. You don't have a VM, but you create the services, you customize the services, you manage the data, you manage the security, you manage your own performance models. You have the lot of work here, but not in terms of infrastructure. You can no need to patch it, automatically patched, it automatically upgraded. The server uptime, all the 24 by 7 is protected. You will have your database availability 24 by 7, and you don't have to take the backups. You don't reach recovery is also one click away. So here platform side absolutely automated, but administration side, in terms of computing, how much computing I wanted, my indexes need to be created and maintained and make sure that everything is going well. And you have to manage your tables, table structures, everything. You're doing it on top of it. It's not given, you are doing it as per your business model. What is actually the automated is a platform. Everything is updated, upgraded, maintained, and protected. Everything is giving in the PaaS model. You don't have to do anything on the infra side. In fact, you have to do it towards the product side. Product, once you create a product, maybe you need more power or less power, maybe more indexes because of the reads you wanted better. You have to maintain your own indexes on your own, and you have to keep the security compliances, better security compliances to keep your server safe. There are many things. You have to configure your own DR strategies, you have to configure your own technologies to transfer the data. So everything you have to do here except the infrastructure side. But IaaS model, you will be given a VM object. It's an object. Within the object, what you do, none of the Microsoft business. You get a VM. Within that, you install SQL Server, you install App Server, you install anything that you wanted for that matter. We don't care. We given a VM object. Within that, you do whatever you want to do. You install SQL Server, and they don't protect that. You have to take the backup of the SQL Server and keep always on, maybe keep the VM replication, maybe you take the continuous backup through the vault, which non-corrupted backups. So you have given all the protections. though it is IaaS model, they don't protect you. If the VM is crashed, you lose your data, as simple as it is. In the IaaS model, there is no protection. In the PaaS model, it is absolutely corruption free data. How they are making it corruption free data in the PaaS model? Let me tell you. You have a database. Your database will be maintained two copies in the background automatically. It is designed by default. So here it will replicate in the background asynchronously. Whatever I'm writing, it is replicating in the other two copies automatically. If any, see, anything can corrupt as a physical infrastructure, right? If example, this is corrupted on some portion of it, some segment of it, the healthy copy will come and repair. Even live copy is also corrupted, the other copy will come and repair. The user does not know that there is a corruption happened, the data got repaired. User will see the data all the time. It is a corruption free infrastructure. It can corrupt, but the other copies are there, they are doing the checksum in the background and repairing the data where it is actually corrupted. So it is protected in the PaaS model. You have 100% protection. It will take the continuous backups, and two copies will be maintained in the local, one copy in the remote region. Okay, even this entire thing is done, you can recover from here. We're going to see this all this as a scenario. It's not just I'm saying it. We are going to see this in practical, how this will happen in the background, how the continuous backups will work, how we can recover the data from the remote backup when even the primary data center, primary region entirely down. We're going to see all that as this, backup recovery in the separate class, one entire class dedicated for this. We'll see that. But understand it. In the PaaS model, entire infrastructure level protection is given. Whatever is there on your infrastructure, it is absolutely protected. In the IaaS model, it won't. They won't protect. They given an object. If the disk is corrupted. You lose the data out of it. Yes, you lost it because you did not protect it with your own technologies. Either you go with always on, with the VM replication, or go with a continuous backup. Somewhere you have to protect it. Whatever the data you have within the VM, and there is no automatic. There is an automatic patching, but there is no automatic upgrade on the OS version side. If you go to the PaaS model, I cannot choose what version of SQL Server I wanted. It is by default to the 19. By default, Windows Server to the 19. By default, you cannot choose what operating systems you wanted, what SQL Server version you wanted. They are by default enterprise to the 19 by default. Here you have a choice of doing whatever you wanted within the VM. You install whatever the version you wanted. If people wanted such particular version to the 16 to the 17, you cannot go to the PaaS model because to the 19 by default. So IaaS model only you have to go. Even managed instance, there is a service that also to the 19. It has a backward compatibility feature. Like any database version, you can run with the database compatibility number, but by nature the server is latest. Okay. So any questions around this? It's very important, especially what is SaaS, what is PaaS, what is IaaS. At least you got an idea. If you wanted to show me pictorial kind of thing, let's understand this diagram so that you get little better understanding now. Because I said, just a minute, I'll zoom it. So if you look at this diagram, guys, if it is your own data center, you manage everything. No one is involved to manage yours. If it is a cloud infrastructure as service, you don't have to work on the networking side, storage side, server side, virtualization side. The underlying things are managed absolutely, and they look at the availability also. But what operating system you wanted, when you're creating the VM, you will choose it. I wanted Unix operating system, I wanted Windows operating system. Like there is a Windows versions, editions, again, up to your environment requirement, you build it. Once it is built, the storage, here the storage, why it is automated, here it is saying I have it like example 100 GB drive. I wanted to make it 500. I'll go to the disk, I'll edit it, I'll give the number, I'll save it, that's it. It'll expand up to 500. You don't know that how many LUNs are joining together to project that logical storage to you. It is a fully automated functionality. You don't have to worry about what LUNs are joining. You are just getting the storage, but how you are getting it is none of your business. But the storage can be corrupted. That's the protection is we don't have it for the VM side. For the PaaS side, absolutely protection is given. But the VM side, You don't. It is a cheaper compared to PaaS, in fact, in terms of cost, because they're not giving all the things. They are giving only VM object, and whatever that they are giving it, they will make sure that the VM is protected from the attackers, and they will network is absolutely available. That is infrastructure basic things they will give you. So with a cloud implementation, whose jobs will be lost? Not DBAs, whose jobs will be lost. Backup team jobs will be lost because it is inbuilt backups. You don't have to do much. And hypervisor, they don't need to manage anything at the infrastructure level. Hyper configurations, storage, and all that. Back the storage team, Windows team, networking team, all infrastructure profiles are affected with a cloud implementation. Why? Because these are all fully managed by the Microsoft product. They don't maintain it. They don't maintain it, but you have the full scope to manage the product, even on the IAS model and the PaaS model also, SQL Server side. I mean, the product side, you don't have too much of effect, but infrastructure profiles are fully affected. See, if it is on-prem, I need 10 Windows people to manage my infrastructure. Cloud, I just need 3 people, maximum 3 people, 7 to 3. That ratio, like the profiles will get hit by this cloud implementation. So product side, you don't see much of hit anyway, but still you will be forced to learn different technologies because cloud is giving you certain ready-made things. You don't have to do the configuration from scratch in the PaaS model. Few clicks will do the configuration for you. Right, benefits. Why the cloud? Okay, these are all just information like you need to know, but why cloud? This is where we're going to start actual discussion. What is the major agenda? What we're going to focus? Why we need to go to the cloud? First thing always comes to everyone mind is cost. Wherever people can save the money, there people will go and use it. Of course, they look at all other concepts also like server availability, protection of the data, recovery of possibilities. Everything will be taken into consideration. If all are given with a benefit of cost, what will stop them to go? That's what is a cloud anyway. We're going to conclude all that with the next point. See, what happens here is, if any business starting, they cannot afford to keep all their money just building the data center. Yes, they need to invest a lot, in fact, to build a data center, to hire the technicians, to set up things and keep things ready and make the business up and running. It takes quite a long, in fact. Cloud is not like that. Create subscription, create server. How big server you wanted to create, just create in 2 minutes or maximum 5 minutes. None of size does not matter there. You create a small VM or a big VM with any CPUs, any amount of RAM. The maximum size time for the provisioning is 2 to 5 minutes time. So that too you can automate it. Creation of servers and including SQL Server product in it and all the standards you deploy it with the create a template VM. Use that VM for creating it. It will get everything for you. That I'm going to do it in the class anyway. So here what I'm trying to stress is, you no need to invest for the startup company. You directly go into the cloud and directly start building it and do whatever you want to do and give the business model to the client, to the operation center straight away. It won't take time. You don't have to do the hire the procurement team, get the hardware, and hire the networking team, Windows team to do the rest of the things, and like giving it to the product guy, and then product guy will install this product and then give it to the application they deployed. It is a long procedure, in fact, right? So that long may not be, business cannot wait what you got. So you wanted to give it instantly, that too without any investment. So you are making the money on the go and paying it off, right? You're not investing, you are post paying. Like, you have a prepaid with the reservations, you can postpaid also use it and pay later. So that also we have it. We will see both the options anyway here. That is one thing, guys. You don't have to invest initially to run your business. That is one thing. Other thing is, if I'm buying a purchase, I'm interested to build my own data center. I'm buying it, I'm recruiting everyone, I manage everything, good enough. After certain days, nowadays data growth is very, very rapid. You cannot even you know expect. Sometimes this is the data I'm going to get. Every day things will change. In terms of data nowadays is absolutely unpredictable anywhere. So when the data is really bigger, you bought a service 5 years ago or 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Data is very high, but the hardware is outdated. They won't process because they won't sustain with the old hardware. The sophisticated options are not available with the old hardware. You have to upgrade. You already purchased 10 years ago. You have to repurchase entire set of that server infrastructure to match with your new requirements. Software features, hardware also should be supported to pull the data from the hardware, right? Because data is sitting in the hardware, in fact. If it is outdated, it cannot pull the data what the application is requesting. Like though you have a really good features on the product side, but the storage layer is not supporting to pull the data, then you will see the performance hit. So if I'm buying the servers now, definitely they will be outdated after a certain time. I have to repurchase the entire hardware, which is absolutely 100% reinvestment on the IT resources, which you don't need in the cloud. So I'm using it, I'm destroying it, I'm building the new one and migrating and destroying it. I don't worry about the old one at all. I will pay what I used to pay because I'm running the one server only again. Maybe during the migration phase, you might run 1 or 2 months both the servers parallelly for testing purpose or and till the target is absolutely stable and fine. We will keep the old server in deallocation mode. I'll talk about all the process what we do follow for migration. Once it is migrated, how we keep that migration and old server, new server, all that. We'll talk about that. Keep the servers at the lowest cost also with the deallocation. What is deallocation also? We will talk about it. First, understand the cost. You are saving a lot of money. May not be right now, but down the line you'll save it. No need to reinvest. You see, time to time features will change. Software features, if you wanted to install the software versions in, you have to definitely go with the side by side. You cannot do the in place upgrades. In place upgrades very very risky. In fact, you do the in place upgrade, applications are broken, there is no downgrade for most of the products. Downgrade is not directly possible. So in that case, you lose the business, right? So you definitely have to do side by side. When you have to do the side by side, you have to buy the new hardware also, new versions, new hardware. You'll definitely focus there. Cloud, you build a parallel machine with all the sophisticated options you have and migrate it and destroy the old one. So there you are saving a lot of money, in fact, on the infrastructure side. No need to reinvest when you use the cloud. You will have to follow certain guidelines. I'll talk about it. I'm part of it. I'm the cost optimization team. How you can cost optimize the cost of the Azure resources. I'm going to share all my experiences. You need to follow that. Generally, cloud is not cheap. If you don't follow the requirement model blindly, you should not create anything. There are many reasons. Many things are created on purpose. You have to use it wisely, each option. If you use the wrong option, you get the more bill. So for example, storage, you can create a storage for the right purpose and read purpose. You are created a storage for the right purpose, but reading it more, you get the more bill. So you have to choose it to what purpose you are defining it. If you choose it correctly, you save a lot of money. So I'm going to talk about that, but that will deviate the topic. Better let's stick to our demo itself. Cost anyways, directly it is giving a better option. So if you don't maintain your data centers, you don't have to maintain the infrastructure, licenses, bandwidth, air conditioning, whatever we discussed in the first slide, you don't have to do. It is done by the absolute Microsoft or any other cloud provider what you're subscribed to, right? That is a great thing. It is giving you the cost benefit directly, indirectly, straight away. If you choose it right one, right manner, in the long run also you get the cost saving. You may not getting the straight away the cost if like benefit, but down the line you will definitely get it because you don't need to reinvest on the infrastructure side. Global scale. See, nowadays everyone are trying to globalize their business. Problem here is, um, you cannot build one data center and serve the data all around the world. This is used as US. You are expanded to business to different countries, and they are in different continent also. US, here you have a big data center. You expanded your business to India, maybe Japan, maybe Australia, right? So, you are just expanding your business to different countries. Okay, when you are expanding your business to different countries, you cannot serve the data from one central zone, right? It is not possible. So you have to create your own data center nearest to them so that they get the better performance of data request. If you have to build a data center every country you're going in, it is very expensive, and you have to take care of all the things that I said in the first slide. That is not possible for the people nowadays. So cloud is giving you the ready-made solution everywhere. You create a data center and you logically connect them through the configurations. I'm going to show that. I'm going to build data center in India and US. I will make them seamlessly communicate through the private backend network, not through the public. We can make your secure channels, and they can transfer the data and with the encryptions automatically in the background. We're going to see that. So you don't have to build your own data center everywhere where you're expanding your business. You just create the resources and use it straight away from the cloud and then operate. So it is saving cost, effort, money, everything in fact. That's why people are adopting. Some people, they don't want the cloud. Still, they're exploring the cloud. You would have seen in your everyone's company, there is some cloud talk is going on, though they don't need it immediately. They are exploring the options for the future need. As long as whatever built is built, what we wanted next, they wanted to enter into the cloud side. That's what people thinking now. They don't want to build any more new data centers or new infrastructure on-prem side. They're thinking to move to the cloud slowly. That's what is the trend now. You would have seen everywhere, everyone in the class, you would have heard that is happening in your companies. In fact, it is happening everywhere. Okay, so this is a reason. In fact, you need to understand the reasons, at least why the cloud is so important to learn, and what is actually driving people to get into the cloud, that you are understanding now. Performance. Global scale anyway, it is becoming easy because of the cloud, because they can build the resources nearest to the operation centers very quickly, and they can give the serve the data from the local region. That's a good thing for global scale businesses. And performance are directly related to global scale. Why? Because you cannot put the data in one data center in one location, serve the data to all the countries and continents. Is definitely is not the right solution. You might do the business still, but the problem is the latency. No one is interested, if I go to the ATM, if I'm drawing the money, I'm putting in my card, I'm getting the money after 10 minutes, there will be a huge queue behind you, right? Maybe some other provider is giving you the money within few seconds, they'll all will go there, not here at all, no one will see there, because that latency is, people cannot accept certain businesses, right? The latency is absolutely not acceptable by the people who are actually using your services. There, this matters, this performance and the response time, what you get, it must be given to the market, else you cannot sustain. There are many competitors. Performance is one thing which is related to global scale. In terms of cloud, you can create the nearest data centers in the cloud and serve the data locally, you'll get the performance. That is one thing. The next thing is hardware and software. If your hardware is outdated, though you have a good software with a lot of features, but the underlying storage is not supporting to pull the amount of data what the request required, then you lose your benefit. Though you are keeping it local, but hardware is outdated, you cannot process the data the speed that the people wanted, right? You have to keep upgrade your hardware and software also with the more features, more protections, more lightweight. All will come as you move version by version. By the product, people will make sure that that will happen, right? So to upgrade the servers, cloud is giving the better options is, you keep the old server, build a new server, migrate and destroy it. You don't worry about the old one, they will take care. They use it somewhere, they use for the vault services. All the old infrastructure in the cloud will be used in the vault services. What is a vault service? You don't understand now. Vault is an ocean of storage in the cloud. Ocean, it means ocean, like any amount of data they don't reject. I have petabytes of data I wanted to maintain 100 years. Every day I'm taking the backup 100 years, they'll still accept. There is no rejection. How much data you have, how long you wanted to keep it, how many cycles you are taking, still they don't care about, because they have such a huge storage. All outdated storage they'll keep under vault only. So we'll talk about how they manage with the old hardware. How, if I'm taking the backup into the vault, that is outdated hardware, how they take the backup? It does not happen directly. There is a different process. All that will be explained in the course. Okay. So I'm working since very long, guys. I know most of the services how they work in the background, because I moved into architect because of my understanding. So it took so long to get that level of knowledge. I'll explain all that as ready-made. Don't worry. But try to be regular to the class. That is important. So one thing is software, hardware, and giving the data from the local region. These are all very, very important. And one more thing, guys. When things are automated, I mean, you don't have to invest too much of time to do the migration also. You are building a new server, migrate, backup, restore. Our job become easy, in fact. You don't have to wait for anyone, in fact. So that's where the multi versatile profiles are in demand in the market. So you getting time to like to learn new technologies. You don't have to work that hard that you used to in the on-prem. In the cloud is becoming easy. So when it is becoming easy, you are getting time. That's where people are actually pushing you to learn new things and then get it acquired with the new technologies into your profile. I'll talk about this. This point will talk about that only. Speed. See, when if it is on-prem, if I wanted a new server, what I have to do, I have to go to the procurement team. As a finance procurement team will contact the finance team, they'll get the business budget approval for the new requirement, new infrastructure, and they go to the vendor, they place the requirement, they build the servers according to your requirement, then they will get the server. In the networking team, Windows team, they make the server on the network, Windows side they'll install it and they'll give it to the product guy, the middleware guys, product guys who install that required thing, and then they'll give it to the actual developers. In fact, this cycle is will take quite a long. In fact, right? Cloud is not like that. You just go to the portal, click few clicks, and you get the server straight away. Don't have to plan for any resource in advance. I need this big server. Go and spin off in 5 minutes and do it what you wanted. There is no capacity planning. You have to do yourself. I need this buffer resource for my upcoming business. The Microsoft is doing it for you anyway. I'll talk about that also. How do they Microsoft manage any requirement like without rejection? That's something we're going to talk. How they manage it, and there is a topic about it. We'll spend good time there. So how do they actually sustain with the high demands, ever-changing demands? How they are serving that like that requirements. We have a topic, and there is a how do they follow? We will talk about it. And depressurized capacity, you don't have to do any capacity planning. If it is on-prem, if my infrastructure, my storage is about to fill, I have to order in advance. At least 20% of the storage is free all the time. So I'm paying in advance, in fact, for the storage. Though I'm not using, I had to make it in advance because my data can grow at any point of time. It has to have that buffer space all the time. All the computing power should be buffer space, you should have it. All the storage also should be you having the buffer space. That's how you run the business. If it is neck to 10, you cannot run the business. Someday you definitely see the outage because of the non-availability of the storage. So in the cloud, you don't have to do that. Just on the fly, you give the numbers and save it. That's it. It happens on the fly within minutes. So depressurized capacity planning. You don't have to do. You don't have to pay anything in advance to keep your buffer resources. Cloud will do it for you. Enhanced productivity. So this is the point you need to catch it mostly. When cloud is giving certain benefits where the things are automated from the infrastructure side, you don't have to spend much time on particular thing. That's where you're getting the good time to learn new technologies. So remove of racking, stacking, hardware setup, software patching. Less IT team spent on achieving more important business goals. The more technologies you can support, the better the availability and less people the client want. Lesser the people, more support. That is a directly, cost saving to the company. In fact, that's why nowadays in the market, if you are going with just SQL Server, they're not entertaining the profiles anymore because they wanted cloud, they wanted something else. I do work on Mongo, I do work on Postgres, I do work on AWS, Azure, SQL. I am the, most of my experience into SQL itself. I know most of that stuff. No one is 100% perfect, but yes, I can fulfill any requirement that comes in into the SQL side. It may be, like not on the same day, but I'll explore myself, I'll fulfill it. So that's what is when you gain the experience, you have to do that way only. But anyway, what my intention is, nowadays things are changed. You have to rapidly change your attitude side. I mean, learning new things every year. Keep one technology into target and acquire it. Next 2 to 3 years you will be the best person in the market. So that's what. Don't keep the target in the straight away in 1 month I can learn and then leave it behind. Don't do that. Gain the knowledge, and understand the background, get the SME level of knowledge, then get into the new technology. So year by year keep one technology as a target, then you gain it. Seriously, this worked for me. That's what I did. In fact, I did not go randomly learning things. You learn randomly, you never get to the actual level of the knowledge where you want to. You just know it, but what does in the background happens, how things actually troubleshoot. When you understand, then only you get your own thought process to troubleshoot it, though you never seen that issue, but you connect to that issue when you understand the background. So that way, spend good time on each technology, guys. When you start working, just learn in and out and then go to the next one. Don't just jump here and there. That does not make you SME. Only you are a normal operational guy. You never become an SME. That's what I mean. It's my personal suggestion because there is a point talking about it. Enhance your productivity. Yes, you have to every year focus on one thing and then gain in and out and then go to the next one. That way, you get more technologies into your profile with the best knowledge. That's what I do, in fact. Fine. Reliability. Reliability talks about two major things: security of my data and recoverability of my data. Two things it is talking about. Your recoverability absolutely given in the PaaS model. SaaS model, 100% data recovery is possible. Every service, whatever you have in the SaaS, fully protected with the multiple copies. In the PaaS also multiple copies. Your data is encrypted. No one can take your data from the cloud. Even they are taking it, it is fully encrypted. Database is encrypted, disks are encrypted, every byte that you stored in the cloud is encrypted. No one can take a, even they are taking it, they cannot do anything because there are no encryption keys available with them. Even we cannot see the encryption keys. We can only see the data seamlessly because we are running on their infrastructure. It will supply the keys in the background automatically. We're going to see all of that. And recoverability of your data, absolutely possible. If it is a PaaS model or SaaS model, data is protected with one click away. You get your data, what you are actually have. If it is anything lost, it does automatically in the background for you. You don't have to do yourself. If it IaaS model, infrastructure as a service model, you have to protect yourself through the continuous backups, maybe always on, maybe VM replication, maybe you take the backup locally and copy it to somewhere, do whatever you want to do. But you have to protect yourself in the IaaS model. They are given all the options. You have to pick one to protect yours. Networking side, like Microsoft let not let anyone to talk to your infrastructure. Everything is isolated when it is created. You will allow whom you wanted to trust. In fact, you have to create the rule who what are the IPs you wanted to make the communication to your infrastructure in the cloud. You are the only choice maker. So they protected, and you are allowing someone, that is your responsibility. It is a shared responsibility. The networking side, attackers can come to your infrastructure or does not come to your infrastructure based on your configurations only, not by the Microsoft by default. No one can connect, no one by default. You are making the rules whom do you want to allow in fact into your infrastructure. So when you're allowing it, you have to allow properly. If you don't allow properly, you are making the bad rules. Bad people can hit your infrastructure and make the bad things. So here, your infrastructure is 100% protected. With the Microsoft, actually, they have their own mechanisms to, like protect it. But you are the culprit if you are someone is hacking it. How that happens? We're going to spend 4 classes towards networking. I'm going to show that how we can allow, how we can disallow, how we can keep the entire things in a secure containers in the backend networks. We can talk through the, like VPN also. I'll build a VPN software. I'll make a connection through secure channels, through the private IP, not with the public IP. From my laptop to cloud private IP, I can make a connection. I'll show all of that. See, it is not the product only, guys, because product is running on the platform. Platform first you need to understand how the product is integrated with the platform, how the security comes to the product through the platform first. That we will focus first. Then we'll enter into the focus product side. Okay. First, we will spend a lot of 10 classes roughly on the infrastructure side to understand that how product can be troubleshooted if it is not connecting, if it is connecting, if it is not starting, where it is actually going wrong. You should get an idea. To get that idea, that's why I'm making you familiarize with the infrastructure first, then we'll enter into product side. When I start the product infrastructure side, you don't get any doubts because I'm going to clear myself. I'll raise the question, I'll answer it, because you may not get the questions, but if you're asking, I'll definitely answer. But even if you don't ask, I ask the question, I'll answer it, because you may not get it, but you get a, when I ask question, you might get that idea. Okay, this can be the possible thing. We'll see that when we start it, don't worry. So reliability is given in terms of data recovery, in terms of security. Both the parts are absolutely covered by the Microsoft. You don't have to worry about even your financial data, banking data, any data you can get into the cloud, as long as you know that what can be accessed your data. Not bad rules should not exist. How the bad rules can be created by mistake also, we'll see that. We'll talk about it because I know it, how the corporate networks are designed. I involved into every call, in fact, not just the SQL, because the architect job is to get right from the ground. So when you wanted to get into the architect, you have to understand all the surrounding integrated services with the product. Next, introduction to the cloud. In the introduction cloud, these are the like top leaders who are giving the cloud services now. One is Azure, AWS, and Google. Google is far behind, but compared to these two. But anyway, it is slowly becoming popular. If you take about market share, it is very far behind, but compared to this, AWS is a leader still in terms of revenue. I'm talking about the revenue. Azure is a far more better leader in terms of infrastructure than AWS. Azure, Microsoft is spending very rapidly on the cloud infrastructure, very rapidly. AWS is actually started in 2006 and gained the market from 2008 onwards. Azure is started in 2010 but gained the market from 2014. Before that, there was no much implementation of Azure infrastructure. 14. So look at 2008 to 14, 6 hours behind in terms of market capturing. Still, Azure is like surpassed the infrastructure than AWS. AWS is much lesser infrastructure than Azure right now. It has more regions, more areas covered by the Azure only than not AWS. AWS has very limited regions, and within the region also they don't have too many availability zones compared to Azure. And the largest computers available in the Azure only, not in AWS. So infrastructure-wise, Azure is absolutely leader. We can say that. AWS is a, if you talk about the revenue generators, revenue, in terms of revenue, it is a still leader because it is 2008. Many people actually adopted the cloud before the Azure evolved. Now, see, in our environment, we have the AWS. Most of our AWS SQL servers migrated to Azure cloud. The reason being is, I'll show you. I'll show you why we are moving to Azure is 5 times less than AWS. Why it is so? It is absolutely official claim. AWS is up to 5 times more expensive than Azure for Windows Server and SQL Server. If I run my SQL Server on AWS, I'll pay 5 times more than what I'm paying in the Azure. If I'm paying $20 in the Azure platform and the AWS I'm paying $100, why would I choose AWS when I pay that big difference? That's what we migrated all our AWS. We still have few servers in AWS, but very few. So most of the infrastructure we migrated, Microsoft products, all Microsoft products what we are running, migrated to Azure only. Why? Because when you use the Microsoft product in the Azure platform, you do get the hybrid benefit. First thing, hybrid benefit means you are running the infrastructure, Windows infrastructure on-prem, use the same license in the cloud, get up to 49% discount. 49% up to. It is not straight flat. Basically, it is depends on the cost. If I'm paying only $100, you may not get the 49% straight away. If I'm paying $1,000, I might get close to that. So based on the cost of the resource, you would get the hybrid benefit. Hybrid benefit, we will talk about all that when I'm going to create the VM itself. I'm going to show that where you can claim the hybrid benefit and how much it is giving the benefit. We will see in percentage, all that I'm going to talk about. But understand, for SQL DBAs, Azure is the best cloud to learn. The reason being is both are the same product, same vendor products. In fact, they can give you the any deeper discount the market want because they own it, they developed it. Someone else is selling their software, they have to pay to the Microsoft, and they also make the margins. They cannot give the same, like discounts what Microsoft can give. That usual, right? They cannot give the service at free of cost, right? They are operating, they should gain the money. AWS cannot give the discounts what Microsoft can give because AWS need to pay to the Microsoft first. Then they'll look at the margin, the margin itself, their profit. In fact, they cannot lose everything. But Microsoft can take become a competitor. Their product, it is a well developed. They have the product. They can give any deeper discount the market wanted. That's where as a SQL DBA, the first priority to learn is Azure Cloud. Azure is a more trending technology than AWS now, right now compared to maybe AWS is a leader in terms of revenue, but Azure is very close. In fact, it is 5 to 6% behind the AWS in terms of revenue. 42%. It is 36 to 37% of the market holding. Very close. Maybe in 1 year or 2 years, it will surpass the AWS in terms of revenue also very soon. Google is it is scrolling, and it takes time definitely to get stand up with this cloud. I mean, in the competition, it is slowly becoming competitor, but not completely yet. Others, all managed services comes under Azure. Managed services, they are the also cloud providers, but their existence is very limited. They don't have globalized infrastructure. These are the top three leaders who have the globalized infrastructure, but not others. That's why others, I did not mention the name. Right, why we need to learn Microsoft? I know AWS, I know Azure. Compared to AWS, Azure is easy to learn. Easy navigations, easy understanding. AWS, they make things complex. They have good, speed and performance in some cases, but it's not straightforward. If at all, I wanted to migrate a server from on-prem to cloud, Azure case, I'm going through the blob storage directly. I will upload the backup to blob and restore cloud SQL Server straight away. If it is AWS, I have to upload the backup to S3. You cannot directly access the backup from the SQL Server from the S3 bucket. You have to use a third-party software or storage gateway. There middleware involved. So things are not straightforward compared to Azure. I mean, you don't understand what I'm trying to say. You will understand when we talk about migrations anyway. Don't worry, I'll compare AWS. I'm not going to show that entirely how it works in AWS, but I'll tell you how AWS works in terms of migrations. In fact, it is complex compared to Azure. So any product what Microsoft makes, they make user friendly. That's the first selling point for them. They don't make things complex. They make things easy. When it is easy, many people can learn. Many people can learn. Many technicians will be available. Many technicians will be available. The easy of selling the software, because see, when you have something good, but the good must be supported by some people, right? So that is what Microsoft selling, big selling point for them. Easy to learn and manage, rapid growth in the cloud computing in terms of infrastructure and revenue both. More regions and data centers than any other competitor at the moment. Yes. So no one has what Microsoft infrastructure has cloud wise we're talking about. Cost effective compared to other these people, see, Microsoft always lure the customers from the market with the lower cost. You anyone get any service in the market, Microsoft also will get the similar service with the similar functionality, and they'll give you at the lower cost. Then that's a big selling point. That's it. They don't get an idea, but still they'll create the someone else has got some service, they'll get the equivalent in a different way, and then they'll sell it off. So Microsoft is a never ending process. Anybody gets anything, these people also will create the similar thing and give it lower cost. Yeah, it is. That's how the Microsoft. In fact, if you talk about Oracle too expensive, which does the same thing what SQL does. Oracle gives a better performance than SQL, but SQL is giving it lesser cost compared to Oracle. Then people come to the SQL only, though it is less performant compared to Oracle, because people need the money saving also. All matters that way. Certifications. What certifications you can take? First, more of focus on the DP300. Designing, implementing cloud data platform solutions. This is what you're going to take. Mostly, you can take the infrastructure, this AG 104 also. This will be covered up to 50 to 60%. Someone is trying to take infrastructure admin. It is not required for DBA, but you can have it if you want. This will be up to 60%, but this is a more of very close syllabus what we have, what it covers there. I have the dumps also for both of these exams. I'll give it if you want, anyway, if you're going with it. But dumps again, time to time they do get update. You have to check for the new dumps if you really want. Okay. So then this is about the demo, guys. Any questions from anyone? I mean, I'll conclude with the syllabus at the end. Anyone want to say anything about out of all these discussions? Let me know. So don't keep yourself anything if you have in your mind. Please speak up. I'm okay to. It can be silly thing. It can be any high level of question. I'll try to answer. I'm not saying that I'm 100% so expert. No one is expert, but you have to keep chasing it. That's what is a you know that's what is life, in fact. So any question from anyone? Fine. So if no questions, then I'll just justify this. See, guys, first introduction. This is about the cloud introduction. Creation of free account and how do you access the portal? What are the options we need to know in the portal? I'll cover in the next class. This too will be over in 2 class itself. Implementing and managing, this will take 4 classes, in fact, these two. And implementing networking, 4 classes. App services, load balancers, internal, external, storage, and this will also take few classes. Then the major module for is 8. 8 will cover entire SQL profile. Planning and implementing Azure SQL databases. This is something is a major module for us. Okay. Azure Active Directory. How do we integrate our cloud services with the Azure Active Directory? How we can migrate the on-prem Active Directory to cloud, and how we can integrate the Azure Active Directory to services, the accounts, and all that. How do we operate? Automations. 5 different types of automations we will cover. Like we will cover PowerShell automation, Elastic Agent Job automation, Logic Apps automation, Azure Elastic on-prem SQL agent automation using the cloud. There are 5 different types of automations I'm going to cover. How we can automate SQL infrastructure from on-prem, we're going to see that in the cloud. So this is a main agenda, guys. I mean, if you know all of this, you can manage your cloud profile easily. Okay. So any questions from anyone? Else I'll stop the recording.
So, Ravinder, does Azure give any recommendations to set up, like go with this, like you will get better performance, go with this, you will get better things?
You have to subscribe for that. You have to subscribe, and it is a paid support. They don't
Okay,
recommend straight away. You have to go through their blogs and follow it if you want, but they don't come to you and tell you. If you want, you have to get the paid support for that.
okay.
They have
And
entire documentation available. You go through it, understand it, implement it. No, you're not going, you don't have any idea. You wanted someone to come and explain you, that is a paid support. Yes, it is there. That is a paid support.
okay, thank
Yeah. Any other question? Fine, I'm stopping it.